Happy Friday and welcome to your Newsmax Daily for June the 6th, 2025. 6/6/25 on your monitor or in your journal. And what a journal entry it will be. The 81st anniversary of D-Day, when thousands of Allied forces arrived on the beaches of Normandy, France during World War II, leading to the deaths of more than 4,400 soldiers, 2,500 of them Americans. On the food calendar, today is National Donut Day. Technically, a donut probably is not food, but this means there are free donuts to be had at all the big chains. In the headlines, there's really not much going on. Right. There's actually one big headline before we get to that headline. Surprise, surprise. The May jobs report coming in better than expected. 139,000 versus the 125,000 forecast. The unemployment rate was unchanged and stocks are on the rise. And what a difference a day makes, right? I think it's safe to say that Elon will not be going to tomorrow night's UFC event with President Trump and the Trump clan. Let's start it off with Rob Schmitt, who breaks down yesterday's catastrophe. That's really what it was.
Fireworks today inside the Republican Party, and it has gotten ugly as the president and Elon Musk traded blows fighting over the big, beautiful bill and America's debt. It spilled out in a number of different ways. In recent days, Elon Musk, angry over no EV tax credits in that bill and also Trump's refusal to appoint his friend to head NASA, has come out against this bill, which will fund the president's agenda, including a wall, immigration money, and extending and expanding his tax credits, things that Trump voters really want to see. Elon retweeting Rand Paul's clip from our show last night, where Paul came on, or from 2 nights ago, I should say, where Paul came on, explained his position that the bill is too expensive for a country that already spends $1 trillion every year in interest on its $36 trillion in debt. Take a listen to this from the president.
I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody sitting here, better than you people. He knew everything about it. He had no problem with it. All of a sudden he had a problem, and he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate, because that's billions and billions of dollars, and it really is unfair.
Now, Elon disagrees with the way he phrased that and what he contends in that phrase there, but this is going to be a tough fight for Trump voters to stomach. We can tell you that. Trump's base absolutely in love with both these guys, probably the two most powerful men in the world that are now in the midst of a pretty big fight. They came together to save the country from the horrors of the American left. We saw it all happen. It was wonderful to see that last year, and that election won. Elon was the biggest, most powerful supporter that the president had. He spent a fortune. He risked a lot to get the president into the White House, risked his company. Elon became Trump's first buddy, wearing his MAGA hats, launching Doge, exposing the waste and fraud in our government, giving Congress a roadmap to destroy the thing that Americans hate the most, which is the size of government and just how much of our money that they just throw away. But this afternoon, Elon responded to Trump's Oval Office comments. It was not pretty. Elon saying Trump would have lost the election without him. Democrats would control the House and barely have the Senate, saying such ingratitude. And to that, the president responding, Elon was wearing thin, that he asked him to leave. He took away his EV mandate and forced everybody to buy electric cars that nobody else wanted. Elon says he never saw the big, beautiful bill that Trump says that he saw, but Elon wants a slimmer version of it. He says you can't have a big and beautiful bill. It's got to be slim to be beautiful. Trump's team saying Elon and other fiscal hawks are dead wrong about how they see this bill, saying that this is doing as much as they can right now to cut down the insane spending of this country. Take a look.
The bill is incredible. It's the biggest cut in the history of our country. We've never cut. It's about $1.6 trillion in cuts. It's the biggest tax cut. You would say people's taxes will go way down, but it's the biggest tax cut in history. It's we are doing things in that bill that are unbelievable.
Using the CBO scoring, they came out and scored the tariff revenue. We think it'll be the minimum of $2.8 trillion over the 10-year window, which actually puts the bill in surplus if you include the tariff revenue, which they won't do.
So, yeah, you've got two sides of this thing, right? You've got them saying we've got tariff revenue, which is going to be probably about $250 billion a year, about $250 billion a year is what it looks like, maybe a little bit more. And really the point is this. It's how difficult it is to get big things like this done in government. Remember, they have to do this with reconciliation. It's got to be this big bill because otherwise you're going to need 60 in the Senate. They'll never get that. Democrats will never vote for anything that Republicans want. They would need 7 in the Senate. They're not going to get it from the other side. So they're saying this is as good as we can possibly do right now. You've got Elon and Rand Paul saying we want more. We want to slash government with a machete, which is a dream, right? That's what we all would love to see that. But the White House has to deal in the real world. And they're saying that they're not being reasonable. These demands are too far, they're too much, and they're doing as much as they can possibly do right now. Elon saying the bill continues to make Americans slaves to our debt, and it will add to the deficit. It'll add probably more than $1 trillion every single year, but they're saying this is as good as we can do. If you don't pass it, you're going to have the biggest tax increase on the American people you've ever seen. So the White House is right. Elon has a point. Rand Paul has a point. The White House probably is right on this. As sad as it is to say, it's hard to move government as fast as these people are demanding that it move. It's hard to change government this rapidly.
That is the simple fact. It is difficult to get things done in Washington, D.C., no less get it done quickly. We all know that. We've all seen that. Elon also dug up an old Twitter post from @RealDonaldTrump back from 2013 saying, I can't believe Republicans are extending the debt ceiling. I am a Republican and I'm embarrassed. Donald Trump in 2013. This obviously started over the bill, right? But is it really all about the bill, or is there more to it? The president later comparing Elon to his disgruntled fired employee.
They leave and they wake up in the morning and the glamour's gone, the whole world is different, and they become hostile.
More from Rob Finnerty.
Elon Musk is not a disgruntled former White House employee. Elon Musk is the richest man in human history. And Donald Trump is one of the most famous human beings in history. You could take a picture of Donald Trump to some far-off tribe in the Amazon and show it to them, and they'd know it's Donald Trump. And what happened today is not the breakup of these two titans of our time. This is still and was always about passing this big, beautiful bill, which might not be as big or as beautiful, but it will pass. Okay? And because of what happened today, it'll probably be a better bill for the American people in the end, and that's a good thing. And that is what this was all about. The CBO claims this bill will add $3 trillion to the deficit, but today, with news that the U.S. and China have apparently reached an agreement on tariffs, Donald Trump broke that from the Oval Office this afternoon. The president posted this on Truth Social. The Democrats-controlled CBO just announced that the tariffs will reduce the deficit by at least $2.8 trillion. Too bad that information wasn't released earlier. It would have kept certain people from unknowingly saying untruths. He was talking about Elon. After that, Trump put this on Truth Social. Elon was wearing thin, and I asked him to leave. I took away his EV mandate for electric cars that nobody wanted, and he just went crazy, and we've gone on from there as the day turned into night. That was the president's response to Elon Musk. But that's the difference between Trump 1.0 and Trump 2.0. Trump really didn't take the bait today. And yes, this relationship could get worse before it gets better. But this Cold War could also be over by tomorrow. And in the end, Donald and Elon are going to be just fine.
Rob Finnerty, host of Finnerty, 8 p.m. Eastern. Yes, President Trump, the world's most powerful man, and Elon Musk, the world's richest man, the richest man ever, will be just fine. Friends or foes, they will be fine. We have all had arguments with friends, right? Or maybe with siblings, girlfriends, boyfriends, husbands, wives, whatever, where you eventually say or do something stupid that you end up regretting, right? I don't know that Elon will regret it, but eventually tweeting that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files and that's why they haven't been released was definitely one insult or accusation too far. I did not like that at all. And I also don't like that the Trump administration, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel have all promised, I think even Dan Bongino, to release more Epstein info, and they haven't. Right? This has also reinvigorated the left and the Trump haters. It's another distraction now that the administration and the president does not need. Let's get the Epstein files, if they exist, out there. Let's get this cleared up. One more take on all of this from Carl Higbie.
Okay, first off, there's probably a gray area in here. Like, Elon probably knew a lot about this bill. Was he thrilled with it? We all knew he wasn't. But, I'm not totally sure where the actual realism is. But I'm inclined to believe that there's a bunch of people in the middle that have muddied these waters. And it's not necessarily between Trump and Elon, because there's no way these two would just randomly blow up like this. So what happened? Did Mike Johnson tell Trump that Elon was fine with this? I mean, Elon is the guy who's been posting bills so people can read them. And as we showed you yesterday, Marjorie Taylor Greene, a usually very thorough member of Congress, she didn't read the bill, because the normal 72-hour hold on any bill before voting for something so you could, read it, it was suspended to expedite the voting of this bill. And this has been my concern, that this bill wasn't great from the beginning. And I tried to say that, and instead I had members of Congress and people from the White House telling me that I should be for it. But the more I find out, the more I feel like I was on the right side of this bill problem. And Elon started dropping receipts. This is what happens when you have a guy who owns the very platform that people communicate on. He has them at his access. And again, this hurts my soul to have this kind of rift. But I don't think Elon's that wrong in his feelings about this bill. Pulling up old tweets from Johnson, who said in 2018, quote, "At some point, Congress has to stop this endless cycle of out-of-control deficit spending." Yeah. Also, he pulled one up from Senate Majority Leader John Thune, quoting him in a 2011 CNN op-ed where he said, quote, "Balanced budget or bust," at Leader John Thune. Elon even reached into the archives on Trump, who said in 2013, "I cannot believe the Republicans are extending the debt ceiling. I am a Republican and I am embarrassed." Okay? I mean, this is kind of what I've been saying for years. We voted for these things like fiscal conservatism. We were promised spending cuts, and that's what Elon's frustration is here. I think he kind of blew up a little bit irrationally on Trump today. But the guy gave up. I get it, Elon, okay? You've done awesome things. You gave up time at your company. You camped out on the floor of the EEOB across from the White House. You ate cold pizza and McDonald's. You worked 20 hours a day, and you got death threats, and people burned down your stores to help. And you did it to help us fix the government for free. For free. I get it. You have every right to be annoyed at this bill. But don't take it out on the man. Yeah, fix the government in the way that all the people who ran for office promised they would do. And that's what you did. You came in there and tried to do that. But they just didn't do it. So I get why you're upset. And the first chance, look, man, I'm with you on this. The first chance that those people who ran on fiscal conservatism got, the first bill that they put forward on this, they raised the debt ceiling by $5 trillion. Guys, this breaking point was bound to happen. I have been saying it for literally years. You can't run for office. You can't have 535 people run for office. And I think most of the frustration on Elon is coming directed at Congress, to be honest. This breaking point had to happen at some point. You can't promise to be a very ideologically driven base, that you're fiscally conservative. Look, I'm part of that base. What did you think was going to happen, Mike? We were promised fiscal sanity. Many of you even promised a balanced budget, like John Thune. And he came with the receipts. Elon came with the receipts where Mike Johnson was concerned about the debt only 2 years ago. I get why Elon's so angry. He gave up everything to do this Doge thing. His stock tanked at his company. He lost contracts with other countries. And the Democrat Party, which he was once loved by, completely turned on him. The guy gave up literally everything to help fix the government, and he feel like he got backhanded. Still, I don't like what he did to Trump. Again, not taking a side here. Still love Trump, and I really like Elon. This is just a really crappy scenario right now, and I really hope these two can patch these things up, because I think Elon took a low blow by tweeting that, quote, DJT was on the Epstein client list. I mean, something that he knows can't be immediately verified. Also, If Trump was on that island doing something illegal, after all the legal battles that Biden threw at him, if he had done something illegal with Jeffrey Epstein, you would think they would have thrown that at him. No, they pulled out the stops on everything else. The only thing we can point to that was a known association with Epstein was that he was at his club once. And by the way, Trump kicked him out of that club because of reported bad behavior.
Carl Higbie, host of Frontline, summing up the way most Trump supporters feel about this whole thing. Late last night, Elon turned down the heat a bit, I guess, responding to a post on X calling for him to make peace with Trump. Elon responding, "You're not wrong." As far as the bill goes, what's in it, what's out of it, what needs to be changed, what we can expect, Chris Salcedo spoke with Congressman Jim Jordan.
Okay, we're going to dig into the reconciliation bill. Now, here's me. I'm confident that if the bill only contained President Trump's priorities and only his priorities, the bill wouldn't be so damned expensive. But as it stands, we got to pay for a bunch of bad stuff to get to President Trump's good stuff. Is that fair of me to say?
Yeah, there's some element of that, too. And look, I wish we had achieved more savings in this legislation as well. But we got a slim majority. We got to put the votes together. The Democrats aren't going to help us. But I just step back and say this, Chris. You know I said this on the House floor. You know it's a good bill because the Democrats hate it. The left hates it. And you know why they hate it? Because it does conservative, common sense, Republican principles in this bill. It cuts taxes, lets parents keep more of their money to spend on their goals and dreams, lets families keep more of their income like we've all, that's a fundamental Republican position. It secures the border, allocates resources to keep the border secure that President Trump has done. It says to able-bodied adults in our social welfare system, guess what? You're going to have to work. And then finally, it gives parents school choice. Moms and dads should be deciding where their sons and daughters can get the best education. Those four reasons are why this bill is such a good bill and why the Democrats don't like it, because the Democrats don't want to let families keep more money. They don't believe in a secure border. Look at what happened 4 years ago. They don't believe in making able-bodied people work. They want more people dependent on government, and they certainly don't want moms and dads picking where their kids go to school. So that is why they're so against it. This is good legislation. We need to get it across the finish line.
Yeah, the education freedom thing there is news to me. But everything else you said, yes, it's in that bill. But there's a lot of stuff that's also in the bill. So congressional rules, I know, on reconciliation are designed to make, government never have to take a haircut and make sure the taxpayers always get screwed. And I also know that reconciliation bill isn't a budget because Congress hasn't done a budget for 28 years and counting. Still, conservatives are now openly wondering, after we spent years, decades decrying irresponsible, unsustainable, and inflation-causing Democrat overspending, why more wasn't done to reduce the rate of overspending. So I got a two-part question for you here, all right?
Sure.
Part number one, will the U.S. government spend more or less in fiscal year 2026 under the GOP spending priorities than it did in 2025 under Democrat overspending priorities?
Yeah, it'll spend more because of the entitlement programs, because of money that we spend on. Actually, I look at Social Security and Medicare. Those are promises we made the American people. Social Security, it belongs to the people. So because those things are growing, yes, it will spend more. On the discretionary spending side, which is what's coming up in the appropriations process, I think we can hold that spending down. But also understand, part of the campaign, Chris, on some discretionary spending that were allowed under the crazy rules we have in Congress, particularly the Senate, some of the discretionary spending issues that are in this reconciliation bill are things we campaigned on. I mean, our committee allocated $81 billion to make sure we have the resources to keep the border secure. 10,000 more ICE agents, resources for 100,000 new detention beds, detention space, and money to repatriate migrants who are being sent back to their native country. So we did that, but we also raised visa fees on people coming here. We said in our committee, look, we think people coming to our country on visas should pay for the border security, should pay for what we did. So we broke even, but we're allocating resources for that. So that's some of the spending as well. So that was a key element in the campaign. I would argue one of the key issues why Donald Trump got elected.
Okay, part two of the question. Will the GOP overspending priorities reduce the rate of overspending or increase the rate of overspending set by the Democrats?
No, it'll bring the curve down. So we've reduced the rate of growth in spending, particularly in Medicaid. You know, they say, oh, we're cutting Medicaid. No, it's about getting rid of waste, fraud, and abuse in Medicaid, and about saying if you're an able-bodied adult in the Medicaid system. By the way, the Medicaid system was designed for people with kids with disabilities, people with disabilities, moms, single moms. It was designed for those individuals. If you're an able-bodied 40-year-old male getting this benefit and you're not working, guess what? You got to go to work. And it's not even full-time work. It's 80 hours of work or some kind of volunteer activity in a month. And the Democrats are, oh, you're slashing Medicaid. Give me a stinking break. So, again, I come back to the basics. Cuts taxes, secures the border, makes able-bodied people work, and gives parents school choice.
That is Congressman Jim Jordan, chair of the House Judiciary Committee, on the Chris Salcedo Show. That's afternoons, 4 o'clock Eastern. And we're going to wrap up the week with Judge Andrew Napolitano, my paisan, on immigration and the deportation of the wife and children of the Colorado illegal alien terrorist.
Let's talk about another Trump effort that's being blocked in a court. This one out of Colorado. Federal judge here blocking the deportation of the family of Mohammed Solomon, the suspect in Sunday's Boulder, Colorado Molotov cocktail attack against Jewish people there. U.S. District Judge Gordon P. Gallagher granting a request from Solomon's wife and 5 children, who are Egyptian, to block their deportation. U.S. immigration officials taking the family into custody this past Tuesday. So, what's happening next here? You can see why the Trump administration might have some concerns about what the family might have known.
Correct. This does not get them out of jail, out of detention, but it does prevent the government from deporting them until, here we go again, they get a hearing. Because all of these deportations can only take place lawfully after there is a hearing. Now, they don't have much of a defense here. They overstayed their visa. They are not accused of crime. They are not accused of wrongdoing. So far, the Boulder police and the FBI have not said they knew anything about what their father or their husband was doing. But they are here illegally. So you might say, what would their defense be? Well, maybe their defense is we didn't go back to Egypt because we'd be persecuted there. That's an application for an asylum. Are they entitled to make the application for the asylum while they're detained? Yes, they are. Can they summarily be deported? No. Now, will the hearing be before this judge who restrained the deportation? No, the hearing will be before immigration judges. This judge, a federal district court judge, hears emergency applications to restrain deportation. He then remits these people to the ICE folks for an immigration judge hearing.
How do you see that one playing out?
I think they'll be deported.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think that there'll be great deference shown to whatever they knew or didn't know, and then maybe they knew nothing, and maybe it's unfortunate this is happening to them. It's possible the father was a crazy person and this craziness was hid from them.
Right.
But I think the government, the courts will play it safe.
Let's shift to the travel ban. President Trump issuing 12 countries now, 7 with partial travel bans. But Egypt wasn't on that list, which I found interesting because he made it about this attack that happened in Boulder, Colorado with an Egyptian national. Right. But the question is, will this hold up? Can he invoke this travel ban? And how long before a court is going to get involved and hold this thing up?
What's today, Thursday? A court will probably have it Friday morning.
Right.
However, the courts show great deference when a travel ban is based on national security, and the government's going to have to demonstrate that. If you recall, in 2017, his travel ban, wrongfully, was based on Muslim religion, and the court blocked it. It was modified 3 times. Eventually, the court upheld it when the government demonstrated national security.
Right.
Great deference will be shown to the president on national security, but the DOJ will still have to make the case. They'll still have to show what the national security interest is in these countries and not in Egypt.
Newsmax senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano on National Report. Also on the judicial front, Supreme Court justices on Thursday sided with a straight woman in Ohio who had filed a reverse discrimination lawsuit against her employer. Her gay boss declined to promote her while he promoted other gay employees. Very interesting case. All 9 justices say the case can go on after the woman was held to an unfair standard and she should be allowed her day in court. Liberal Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson even wrote the opinion for the court. Overseas, Ukrainian officials say a new wave of Russian missiles and drone strikes hit several targets near Kyiv this morning, both military and civilian targets, injuring at least 20, killing at least 4 people. In New York City, a funeral service was held this morning for former NYPD Commissioner Bernie Kerik, who passed away last week at 69. On Wall Street's stocks started the day in the green, as I mentioned, courtesy of Trump saying that he has a deal or is close to a trade deal with China. That should drive the markets way higher on its own, but also the much better than expected jobs report. The Indiana Pacers came from behind to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder 111-110. Game 1 of the NBA Finals last night. Game 2 of the NHL Stanley Cup Final is tonight in Edmonton as the defending champion Florida Panthers look to even up that series after Edmonton took Game 1 in overtime. I am already excited. And I mentioned that the president will be attending the UFC event in New Jersey tomorrow night. He's headed to his country club in New Jersey later today after signing yet more executive orders, which means that he will most likely be speaking to the White House press corps, and then he'll be participating in the swearing-in ceremony for John Phelan as the 79th United States Secretary of the Navy on this anniversary of D-Day. Be sure to keep up with all of the news and events today on Newsmax N2 and at Newsmax.com. It all begins each and every morning with Wake Up America, straight through the weekend with Wake Up America Weekend Edition, America Right Now with Tom Basile, Saturday and Sunday Report, Saturday and Sunday Agenda, Rita Cosby, Lydia Serrani, Michael Savage on Sunday night, Rob Carson on Sunday night as well, Ambassador Nancy Brinker, documentaries, and much more. I'm Tony Marino. Thank you, as always, for listening. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Have a terrific and safe weekend, and keep on fighting the good fight.
News breaks every minute, every day. You need the app, the Newsmax app. Find it free on your smartphone store. Then watch us anytime, anywhere.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.